Hello all, welcome to Chalk Talk with Tony. I'm your host Tmzoids, also known as Tony. And today we got HuesOfHunter, also known as Hunter. How you doing, Hunter?
I'm doing pretty good. How about you?
Doing pretty good. It's been such a long time since I've done one of these. People were asking. We're bringing it back. You're season 2 or season 3 or however many seasons. I don't even have seasons, but if we did, you're the first season setter here.
Woo! Exciting.
It's weird to be back. The last time I was trying to do one of these, they said it was a collection of Twitch girls. Can you believe that?
No, can't believe it at all. I myself am not a Twitch girl.
I know, ironic. Start the new season with a girl, and everybody's like, "See, you're proving your point." Bunch of collection of girls, I tell you. But getting into the juicy stuff, I gotta get back in the saddle here. I haven't done this in a hot minute. But as the classic first question we always ask at Shock Talk with Tony, HuesOfHunter, how did it come about? How did the username come?
Well, I mean, technically you helped me figure it out. Because we've been friends for several years now, met in WoW. So I was struggling to figure out a name to stream on, and you came up with it really easily, and it just fit. So,
Well, we had one name before this, but yes, this name actually ended up being the name that you picked.
yes, this is the name that stuck.
Very interesting. Now, you don't play a lot of video games on your stream. You usually do art, but we're still going to go down the video game path because you do play video games because we met playing WoW. But how did you get into video games? What was like your first memories? Was it family, friends?
Oh man. I guess I can't really thinking back on it. I'm not sure if it was the difference between an N64 or a Game Boy. It was between one of those two that I really started getting into gaming. I probably would say the N64, specifically Star Fox. So that was probably the big one for me.
Oh, would you say that's your favorite game from N64?
No, my favorite game is actually Super Mario.
Super Mario. Everybody's going to be like, oh man, a Mario fan.
It's
Did
like
you collect?
actually the only Mario game that I've ever really played, except for like Mario Kart. So
Did you beat it?
yes, I did. Yeah.
So you've collected all the stars, everything,
Yep.
100%. Dang.
Get
Would you
to
ever
Yoshi
bring...
at the top. Yeah.
Oh, there you go. Would you ever bring it back as like a speed... Would you ever speed run the game?
Oh hell no! I can't even imagine trying to speedrun that. Like I
Why
could I
not?
could
There...
see like story-based games back in the day, like Zelda. That would make a lot of sense that you could speedrun, but I can't imagine doing it with Super Mario. I don't think that would work too
Really?
well. Yeah, no, I don't think it would.
Well, there's supposedly glitches. You jump through the walls and doors so you don't have to collect as many stars, and then you don't have to open the door. And then, of course, the classic stair jump, which is pretty much you spam the button and you jump up all the way through the stairs and get to Bowser really quick.
True.
Have you seen any of those?
Yeah, I have. But like that kind
Yeah.
of defeats the purpose, doesn't it? Like, isn't the whole goal to try and get all of the stars?
True, true. But you're doing a speed run. You got to be fast, you know?
But I think the world record has already been reached for those, so I don't know
Uh,
what the
you
point would
know,
be otherwise.
you never know. You could find something new or something that go through this wall, and all of a sudden you end up the last level, and you're like, boom, 2 seconds in.
New world record. Yeah, yeah, I'm sure I'll make that happen.
Oh man! But starting with so childhood games, N64. Did you play with your siblings? Did you play with your parents? Anybody you play with?
I only have half siblings and they're a lot younger than me, so I didn't have siblings growing up. I actually played with my mom's high school friend. Her son was the same age as me, so we played on his N64 when I was over at their house and my N64 when we were over at my house. So it was with him.
Interesting. Now, were your parents like supportive of video games? So I know a lot of parents. Some are like, "No games. That's Satan. Don't bring it into this household." And there's some people who don't care. Grew up playing video games with their parents.
I don't think my parents really cared so long as I like wasn't out like doing drugs or like having like crazy orgies or anything. They didn't really care what it did. So,
That's
I spent a lot of my childhood just in general on the computer and playing video games. So
Interesting, interesting. So from the N64, did you end up playing any other consoles? You said the GameCube. I'm assuming that would be the next console you played. Or did you go more into PlayStation, Xbox, or you never played any of those systems?
did go into GameCube like you said, but then ended up going into the Xbox camp. Never really played any PlayStation games, so
Oh man. So I guess right off the bat, let's ruffle some feathers. Xbox or PlayStation?
I honestly never played that much PlayStation, so I can't give an honest opinion on that.
You were saying Xbox, but you're being gentle about it.
Yeah.
Somebody in the comments is like, "No! Why?" So are you saying have you played Halo then? Are you a Halo fan?
No, I can't do first persons. I get way too sick. Get motion
Oh,
sickness.
you get motion sickness? I get motion sickness too. I cannot play Portal. Can't do it. I can't go through the portal or I get really sick.
See, I could do Portal, but that was probably about the extent of it. But anything that's actually like fast paced first person, can't do.
Really, I feel like I was going through the portal too fast, and I had to actually end stream because I couldn't. I was so excited to play the game too, I couldn't finish the game.
Yeah, no, Portal was
Ah,
fun. I think it was you could, for the most part, take it slower than you could for like Halo.
yeah, I guess. I guess the moving and how things are going. Yeah, I could see that. So does that mean that you get like motion sickness when you play? Have you played VR?
No, I haven't played any VR. I don't know. I feel like it might be okay if you usually get motion sickness, and I think that's just because it's more immersive, but I don't know, maybe it makes it 10 times worse.
So I was nervous about that. Got to play it once at my buddy's house, and I was like, I get motion sick, so I don't want to be sitting here puking with the VR headset on. So he's like, no, it's not intense. I promise. I get motion sickness too with some games. This is really easy, and I would say that I did not feel any sickness. If that's something that down the line you wanted to try.
Yeah, that would be interesting. It could also, like, be like on one of those videos where people are throwing themselves into walls or TVs and such. That's probably how it would end up for me.
Yeah, you'd be pretending to run and just boom, run right into the wall there.
Yep, probably. I don't exactly have the most grace or skill in the world, so.
Practice makes perfect. That's all you can do. But going more into the GameCube side of things, did you continue playing Mario's Party, Mario games, or were you more? Did you venture off into RPGs? Did you go any other route since you're not a big FPS player?
It was probably more like RPGs. I'm like trying to think of what, but I really didn't do a bunch of Mario past a certain age, so did Zelda. Definitely did Zelda. It's probably the big one. So,
Ooh, what is your favorite Zelda game?
uh I gotta go with the classic, man. I gotta say Ocarina.
Could you believe it if I told you I never played a Zelda game?
Are you serious?
Yeah, I've never played Zelda.
Man, what the hell?
I've
You gotta
like
do
ever.
that.
Every time somebody says it, they're like, "What? How?" Yeah, I've never. I had an N64, I had a GameCube, and I just never played any Legend of Zelda. Never. The only time I played with Link or Zelda was in Smash Bros. That was the
Man,
only time I've
you
interacted with it.
you are missing out. Like
I
really missing
I've
out.
seen it. I've seen the story, parts of the story, of course.
Yeah, but
Um,
it's different watching it instead of playing it. You gotta actually play it in order to immerse yourself more into the storyline.
that's fair. That's fair. Understandable. I will put that on my to-do list of video games that I need to play.
Well, and they're coming out with the new Zelda next year, supposedly. We'll see if that actually happens.
Um,
But just like the small preview that they did for it, it looked really good.
I'm assuming that's for the Switch then. That's going to be the big thing.
Yeah, well, and the thing is usually with Zelda games, what Nintendo usually does is like they'll release like a new console with the new Zelda game, but there's like this weird thing like in the air. It's like, are they gonna actually try and create like a newer version of the Switch? If so, like how are they gonna change it? How expensive is it gonna be? And I'm not sure if they're gonna be able to pull that off. So I don't know. It'll be interesting.
Yeah, especially with video games and computer parts and chips and this, that, and other thing right now, inflation and every real world issue that's going on. I don't see that happening with Nintendo, but
Well,
you, like you said, you could, you could.
well, and I mean the Switch now is almost comparable in price to, PlayStation or Xbox. So it's like if they try to up the ante anymore, it would just be like in the same sphere of those two, and I don't think they could compete. So,
Yeah, Nintendo's always been its own like path. It's never followed like it's never competed or tried to compete, in my opinion at least,
yep,
with PlayStation or Xbox.
yep. So it'll be interesting to see how that route goes. But it does look really interesting how they're portraying it, at least for the next Zelda game. So I'm pumped for that.
Interesting. So, going down the Xbox route, what made you get an Xbox? Did you just enjoy the graphics? Is there something that spoke to you through Xbox, or just?
I was actually pretty late to the Xbox game, but then they came out with Skyrim. So
Oh
Skyrim
boy,
is what made me get the Xbox.
that's what made you get an Xbox.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
What did you play in Skyrim? What was your go-to character?
I mean, I had a couple characters, but I want to say probably one of my favorites is actually my Khajiit. I know everybody gives shit to Khajiit players, but that was part of the fun of it, was just being like this character that everybody else in the game hated. Like all of the NPCs just like trash talk you nonstop, and it's hilarious.
That's fair. I played Skyrim, so I played Skyrim, but I'm not. I'm a main quest kind of guy. Like I like to stay on the quest line, and everybody's like, "You can do that in Skyrim," but you get to a certain point, you can't complete the quest line. I got to the other island. You know how you have to take the blimp, or I don't even remember what it is, plane, ship. I don't even remember what it was, but you fly off to the other island, and you're fighting these two other dragons. Does this recall a thing? Like there's two
Mhm.
dragons flying around. I couldn't beat them. I couldn't kill them. I was playing mage. I was like, I'm throwing fire at him. Like, oh my god, I can't kill these guys. I just because I was speed running through the main quest line, I was not strong enough.
I
And
mean, the main
my,
quest line is pretty easy compared to some of the rest of the game, so I'm surprised you weren't able to do that.
but I couldn't beat the two dragons there. They were just too strong. Like I was running. I couldn't remember if I was running out of mana or I just wasn't pumping out enough damage. I ended up killing one of the dragons, and the second dragon would always just kill me.
Well, wasn't there a thing? I can't remember. There was a specific order that you killed the dragons in, and like, if you killed one before the other, then you would have to kill the other one. But if you killed the other one, or you got it down to a certain health, then the other one would help you fight it. Something like that.
I didn't know that. See, I'm such a noob here. See, I gotta go back. After that, I put the game down. I was like, no, we're done. We're just gonna put this away, rest away. And then Skyrim's like, no, we're gonna make 20,000 different expansions of this, so you have to play this for the rest of your life here now. And you're like,
Forever and
oh
ever and ever
god,
and ever. Yeah.
oh god. So would
Um,
you say X? Oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say another game that I really enjoyed on Xbox was Soul Calibur. So
Fair enough. Big swords, killing things
fighting games,
makes
yeah.
sense. Would you say Xbox is your favorite console then, or would you stick with the Nintendo / GameCube?
I want to actually say like all-time favorite console for not including PC. Uh, would actually probably be like the OG Game Boy.
Really?
Yeah, there's just something very, I don't know, it's just very, how to describe it? It's like a very,
Nostalgic?
yeah, very nostalgic, like fond memories of it. And like, I grew up as, one kid of a single parent, and like having a Game Boy allowed me to escape in a way that I wouldn't have been able to otherwise, just because I didn't make friends. So I just have a very strong bond to the old OG Game Boy.
So you're talking about like the Game Boy Color, or
Yeah,
even before
color.
that?
I mean, I have one of the like really old ones, but I only had that for like a year, and then I switched over to the color. So
Well, the classic question follow for this is what color?
mine was red. I want to say it was red.
It's either blue, red, or yellow, I believe. Because I
Yeah,
think they based them off of the
in
Pokemon
Pokemon,
games
yeah,
also.
I'm pretty sure I had the red.
So are you a big Pokemon fan?
Used to be.
Yeah.
I mean, I was one of those
uh,
kids like running around the neighborhood and like trading cards with everybody else. So, I mean, does that count? I can't say like past like Emerald or something that I ever really got into it. Um, I'm like
but you
behind.
played the original colors, is what I'm saying. Like Pokemon Blue, Pokemon Red,
Yep.
Yellow,
Yep.
Green. Okay, well, where did you start with that? Blue, yellow, green. Did you stick with the red?
I'm pretty sure I was red, and I did end up picking a Charmander, so that kind of tracks.
Oh, there you go. Is Charmander your favorite Pokemon?
No, my favorite Pokemon is Rapidash.
Any specific reason why?
Just girly character that you could have.
A girly there was a lot of girly characters you could
Yeah, but
have.
like Rapidash in particular was like it's a horse. I mean, come on. Like how many girls grow up like wanting to be like a horse girl? Like there's it's a meme for a reason. There are horse girls out there and I was one of them.
Fair enough. Did you ever catch a shiny Rapidash? Or I guess it would be Ponyta. Ponyta?
I can't recall offhand because they didn't bring in the shinies like technically until like Emerald and Ruby, right?
I think they were before. They were just very, 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 very rare.
Yeah. Yeah, I
And I
can't
don't
say it
think.
did.
And I can't say they would have much color to them because all you would probably indicate it was what, a little star or something like
Very, very,
flashing.
yeah, like very, very difficult to tell. No, I don't think I did. I know I probably got like one because I used to use cheats. So, like, there was this one cheat where you would actually go to your hometown, like at the end of the game, and like there was like a certain like button smash that you had to do, and then it would pull up like really rare, random Pokemon that you could catch really easily. Um, so I
So
know
you
there.
cheated?
It's
You
not
cheated?
cheating. To me, it was being
You
smart rather than cheating.
Are we talking like were they like super strong Pokemon, like legendary Pokemon, or they were just random Pokemon would spawn,
I think it was just like max level Pokemon that would spawn for you.
and you could easily catch these Pokemon?
Yeah.
That was cheating. You were totally cheating the
It
game.
wasn't cheating.
Max level Pokemon.
I was like
That's pretty
7.
cheating.
That's not cheating. I was impressed I was
Uh,
even able to figure out how to do that, so.
well, I'm sure back in the day they had the books and the Game Shark and everything else. You know,
Yeah, but I don't think I used any of those.
you never used the Game Shark.
Mm-mm.
Oh man, the Game Shark was just the way to go. If you wanted to cheat, that was boom, put in a code,
But
catch
I'm not a
this.
cheater. See, this is what you're.
I don't know. Max level Pokemon. You guys decide in the comments. Is it cheating? Was she cheating? But clearly you were a fire type of trainer. It looks like you picked Charmander. Your favorite Pokemon's Rapidash.
Well, actually, as the Pokédex expanded, I actually preferred to be a dragon trainer more than anything. So
But you said you didn't play anything past Emerald.
yeah, but at Emerald, they had a lot more of a bigger like scope of dragon Pokemon that you could actually catch and play.
I'm disappointed in how weak Dragon is. Like, Dragon gets whooped by a lot of things.
They can be, yeah, but it depends on like what specifically you're teaching them. So a lot of them can actually pick up like different attacks that are really powerful against other ones, like Rock Slide and shit like that. Um, so if you actually play your cards correctly, you could teach them some really intense moves that don't make them be as weak otherwise.
Fair enough. Fair enough. I'd say I'd stick with the fire type. Charmeleon. Don't even have to go to Charizard. Just Charmeleon. Just use that angsty teen.
But
He just
Charizard
represented
is technically Fire Dragon.
True. True. But Dragonite is not a dragon, is he?
Yeah,
No, he
yeah.
is. That's so. Other than that, I don't think there was any for the original 151. I think those are the only two dragon type Pokemons. Actually, I don't even think Charizard was I think he's flying fire. I don't think he's actual dragon type in the original Pokemon.
I don't know. I would have to look that up. You're forgetting Gyarados. Gyarados was
Oh
an
yeah, he's a
OG dragon
weird
type too.
fish dragon type, which made no sense. Who can
Oh,
fly?
but he was so powerful once you actually got him out of Magikarp. It was just, you had
Oh
to get
yeah,
to the
think about
grind
it.
of leveling a Magikarp.
This is a weak fish. Well, you could have went to the lake and caught the shiny Gyarados
Yeah,
with the red Gyarados.
yeah, I think I did do that. But still, that took a while to get to.
This is true, yes, but it's a lot easier than trying to level up a Magikarp that had what flail or flop or whatever it was
Yeah,
and
I think it was
splash.
flail. Yeah.
Oh god, you'd have to swap them out every time. Pain, very painful.
Or you just gave him that TM holder thing.
Fair enough. Before we get more into video games, something that you brought up was friends and whatnot with video games. So when you were in school, even when I'm in school, nowadays gaming's huge. I mean, you could go to school to be a professional gamer. There's clubs after school. People play games, Smash Bro tournaments, all these esports stuff. I'm assuming where you went to school or where you grew up, it was like video games were like not just accepted by people, or not people, but in school, or just kind of weird for the most part.
I don't know. I moved around a lot as a kid. When I did the math last, I had been to like over 24 elementary schools. Um,
24.
yeah, I moved around a lot as a kid.
Holy cow.
I was like in five different third grade classes. So, I want to say in like certain areas of the country, yeah, it was definitely not accepted. But then there were some schools that I went to where it was like very much accepted and like you were part of the cool kids if you actually knew how to play video games. Um,
We're cool now, guys. We're cool.
the main state that I actually remember it being like really big in, surprisingly, was Montana in Missoula. The school that I went to, like, you could not like you were like a social pariah if you didn't like know how to play at least like one game console. So
So it really wasn't the fact that you played video games, it was the fact that you just, due to
weird.
your family situation. No, due to your family situation and going to 25 different elementary schools, you didn't really have time to make friends, because by the time you made a friend, you were going to the next school. You were moving.
Yep, exactly.
That's crazy. That must have been real. That must have been real tough, and during those times,
Again,
because it's like
I had games that I could go to and zone out. So
that's kind of interesting though that you mentioned that, like Montana. Why Montana? They're probably like, we got nothing to do out here. We're playing video games.
it's dark and muggy and gray like 10 months out of the year. So we got to figure out something to do inside. Yeah.
Fair enough. That makes sense. That makes sense. But moving forward now, talking about consoles, you're like, you know what? We're gonna move forward. We're gonna become an actual gamer now. I'm making a lot of gamers mad, but we're becoming actual PC gamers. How did you get into PC gaming? Was it just you had a laptop? Were you on a desktop, or how did it all begin for PC gaming?
Uh, well, my dad in particular has always been like very technologically savvy. So even from a young age, I had like this beast of a computer and there was like really simple games on it. I'm talking like, original Oregon Trail type stuff, but we moved on pretty quickly from that. So I just kind of grew up in general just playing like the games that would automatically be on your computer and then like shit that you get out of like cereal boxes and stuff like what's the game of the Amazon River one? Uh,
I know what you're talking about, from like the sugary cereals.
yeah,
You get the
like
disc and then be like, play these games.
that was like one of my
No,
favorite games ever.
really?
Yeah, I don't know why, because it just I don't know. Maybe it's because it like blended history I didn't know along with like being this cool thing in like the past with the history and like trying to get to the temple and stuff. I don't know. I just really liked it a lot.
Are
So
you
that
talking about San Diego Carmelo or
Carmen San Diego,
Cardiego?
no.
Oh, I totally messed that name up. I apologize.
Well, I'm offended since you don't know that. She's a really good friend of
Oh
mine.
goodness. Oh my god, you're friends with her? Oh my, we're famous here now. Should we got a real famous streamer here, guys? So you're not talking about that? Did you play Wishbone?
No, didn't play Wishbone.
What? The poor Wishbone.
I feel like my sister
Poor
played that a
Wishbone.
lot, but I didn't.
Oh my god. So, so your favorite game was an actual cereal box game,
Yeah, yeah, probably. I don't know, man. I don't know. They just hit
and
different
and you
back
can't
then.
think of the and you can't think of the name of what it actually was called.
It was just something that dealt with the Amazon. That's all I remember.
The Amazon River, just to be clear,
Yeah,
not Amazon like the package company that is like making tons and tons of money now.
no, the Amazon River.
Could you imagine? You'd be like, "Yeah, I remember building Amazon." And you'd be like, "Wait a minute,
Hold up
this
here.
whole time it was me."
Jeff
That would
Bezos
be
got
actually
the
kind of
idea for
wild.
me. Yeah, my little 10-year-old brain.
He was probably like, yeah, he was experimenting. He's like, oh, here you go. Let's see how you feel about buying packages and just letting them show up the next day to your house. Oh, this is the greatest game ever. Came in a cereal box. Could buy a 24 pack off of Amazon now. Oh, goodness, goodness. Well, talking about the computer, we're going to get the big one out of the way. This one takes a good chunk of time because it goes a lot of my past, and this is actually how we met through the great World of Warcraft. Yes, I know. Some go ew, some are cheering, the nostalgia inside. Just to start off, what did you play in WoW? Like race,
I mean, like
class, all
my
that jazz.
OG main character, or are we talking like later down the road where you would have like characters of every race and color and
Well, we'll start with your OG and then what you kind of transformed into. When quotations for the transformed part.
my OG character that I played was a night elf hunter. I still have her. That's the one that I ended up meeting you on because you had to train my dumb ass how to actually play a hunter again.
Oh, God. Good times. Good times.
Oh,
So, would you say that that was your main character you played throughout, or you said you had many different characters, or are you including alts in that, or you just had another character that you preferred to play down the line?
well, so I started actually playing like right before Burning Crusade dropped. So back then it was really, really difficult to have more than like one original character. And in Burning Crusade, I actually was like a hardcore streamer, right? Like we were third, I think, on our server when we were raiding.
You
So
meant Raider, by the way. You said hardcore streamer, just to be
yeah,
clear.
hardcore raiding.
I'm a hardcore streamer. Twitch wasn't even probably out then, or just starting as Justin TV, probably around that time. But anyway,
Probably. But yeah, no, I was playing specifically as a raider, as a hunter. So if you were playing while raiding in Burning Crusade, you didn't have a lot of time to do much of anything else. But for some weird reason, I actually ended up leveling up a Draenei warrior and a Draenei priest. Um,
if if you could see my face right now, a drain eye? Why a drain eye?
they're called Draenei, aren't they? Like what? How do you
Yeah,
pronounce
they
them?
are. No, no, no. It's not that. You got the octopus face. You couldn't pick anything else.
You
See,
don't like the tentacles? Come on, man. You gotta love the little butt wiggle with the tail. Like that was my
oh my
favorite part of
god.
playing the characters is being able to watch them as they run and the hip sway with the tail.
That is why most males pick a female character. Is because they're
Exactly.
like, if I'm staring at something, I'm like, it's a video game. I don't know why you're staring at that. You should be focusing on the fire on the ground. Get out of the fire.
But you can make it prettier if you have a pretty character to play with to begin with.
This is true. Yes, it's all about the looks. They've come a long way with WoW and its customization of characters.
That's
That's for
very
sure.
true. Yeah.
You got Dragonblight coming out, not sponsored by the way, but if we want to sponsor this World of Warcraft, Blizzard, I mean, they do have a lot of customization. The Draenei, the dragons, it is actually pretty interesting. You were talking about maybe going back into that.
Maybe. I don't know. I have qualms with donating any money right now to Blizzard, so
Is that with the past, I guess, legal ramifications that Blizzard has had?
I don't even know about the legal ramifications, just like all of the drama and the controversy surrounding them within the past few years. So,
That's fair. Blizzard has taken a major hit. A lot of people have gotten either walked out and all that, which I do recommend if you're going to go off that. I do recommend you do your own research. It's just a very small basis of everything that's happened with Blizzard in the last, like, 2 or 3 years now. It's crazy.
well, and it sucks
California.
because I feel like Blizzard lost touch with their user base. Just in general,
Well,
like not even just with World of Warcraft, but also with Overwatch and with StarCraft and all of the others that they have. They just completely lost touch with the user base. So,
Well, yeah, that's partly to do with a lot of the majority of the people that worked on those original games are no longer with Blizzard.
yeah,
They're either on a different company, they work for Riot now, which is doing amazing things on their own. Some went to another independent company, Storm Giant or Stormfrost, so they're
yeah,
doing their thing.
they definitely shot themselves in their own foot with that in regards to that. So,
Yeah, the great Overwatch. I can't believe it. Overwatch 2 is already out, and you feel like Overwatch just came out. It's
but it's been like what,
crazy.
like 8 years since the OG Overwatch came out?
And you can't even play. It's like they retired. They're like, nope, you can't even go back. It's shut down.
Too bad.
Done. That's crazy. Crazy. But enough reminiscing as I'm sitting here daydreaming about World of Warcraft and Blizzard. Going back to Blizzard, though, you were a major raider, you said. So what was your favorite raid?
Oh, are we talking about? I mean, okay, so are we specifically talking about expansion pack raids or just like overall raid?
We're gonna go. We'll do both. We'll do overall raid is your favorite raid, and then we'll do like the last expansion you played or favorite raid. I guess if
Okay.
that makes sense.
Okay. Um, my overall favorite, I would probably have to say is Uldar. I really
Oh, that is really good.
I liked that one a lot because it was like to the point because they had fixed a lot of the gameplay at that point where you could actually go into a raid and just clear like a boss and then like come back the next day and like continue, whereas if you wanted to like in BC like actually finish a raid you had to pretty much do it in like the space of 2 days because that's the only time you could ever get anybody on. But with Uldar they just kind of changed just the play in general, how you could actually make it work as a raid team. So that was really, really enjoyable one to play. Plus, there
And
was
that was
two
the
mount
first
drops, so
two mountain drops, and that was the first dungeon to actually come out with heroic mode. I
yep.
think that was the first dungeon to come out with heroic mode. And
Yeah.
then 2 weeks later, they're like, "Here's fucking Trial of the Crusader," and I was like, "This is the most worst raid slash dungeon in my life. I hate it."
Oh, but you didn't like the welfare epics?
Good old Blizzard. They have to catch up. The casual people have to catch up. And
We
they're
have to
just
make sure
like, well,
everybody's
mine's...
included.
Yeah. Sad days. Is now? Would you say that is your favorite raid for expansion pack? Well, that wasn't your last expansion you played. You played Legion, of course. So,
Yeah.
in Legion,
Well,
did you
and
have a
I
favorite raid?
technically played a little bit of gosh, what's the one that's out right now?
Shadowlands, or
Oh,
are you
the
talking
one
about
before. I
BFA?
didn't even upgrade to Shadowlands.
You're talking about BFA then, Battle for Alliance.
Yeah. That was the last expansion pack I technically played.
Did you raid in there or no?
No. Well, maybe I might have done some LFGs, but I can't say any of it stands out in my mind.
I don't blame you. I heard those two last expansions pretty much hard flopped. They weren't good. Neither one were that great. So,
Yeah.
which is disappointing because they could have done a lot more, especially with Shadowlands. There just could have been a lot more, but also, like you said, there was a lot of legal ramifications, a lot of stuff going on with Blizzard. So
Well, I think it just
they
became too
had a
grindy. Like, okay, gotta go back and do this all over again. And it's the exact same quest and same premise of
yeah,
it, and then you have to go through all of these dungeons that are exactly the same, and it's
it's
just
very
nothing
true.
changed.
Very true.
So,
That is very true. Good old Blizzard grind, MMO grinds in general. They come to that point, and they also went through a huge content drought because there was no patch release for, I think, the longest in Blizzard history, which was 9 months or
Yeah, it was
10 months.
really long time frame. I can't remember how long, but it was really, really long. And I remember like all of the like main raid guilds that were out were like, we finished this in like the space of 2 months. What are we supposed to do now for like the next seven?
Yeah. I like I said, I don't think that had to do completely with just Blizzard being Blizzard, but also like a lot of walkouts and just people not working on the game, and it was a hot mess. It's been a hot mess over there,
Yep, yep,
and it
definitely was.
doesn't look like they're getting any better with Overwatch's twos issues and all that stuff going on, and Diablo 4 is not looking hot either. So
Yeah,
to
yeah.
that, to each its own on that one. But going off of gaming here, your main channel is about art, so we're going to focus a little bit of time about art. When did you start drawing or painting, or what made you interested in art? When did that all start or come about?
I mean, does whenever I could hold a crayon in my fat pudgy hand count? Um, I feel like I've done art my entire life, so
Well, of course you color and stuff when you're younger, but like, what made you like draw or do stuff like paint or want to continue on beyond like I'm going to color in the lines or I'm going to color this number and I'm going to color this number.
well, I mentioned earlier how I was the stereotypical horse girl, and I actually really started getting into refining how to draw because I got one of those like silly like 25-page books on how to draw horses properly. So I went through that book over and over and over again on how to like actually get the anatomy down of a horse. Um,
So you could draw a pretty good horse right now.
I mean, it would probably take a couple sketches, but yeah. And it's kind of interesting because I know for some like college art programs, some of their finals are actually like drawing a horse in very high detailed anatomy just because of how difficult horse anatomy is to draw. Um, so me actually starting doing that at a young age was really helpful in my ability for my hand-eye coordination on how to draw. So
Do you think that helps you in video games?
probably.
Makes sense,
I think
hand
like
eye
anytime you're
coordination.
working with your hands is probably gonna help you with working with video games. Like I imagine people who also do like heavy carpentry work and, just things like that are probably also really good with gaming.
I don't know about that. I feel like their hands get like stiff, don't they, or like
Well, I mean, you do
hurt
get
because like
arthritis eventually, but like you still have to have a lot of dexterity to do that type of work to begin with.
that's true. That's true. And what is like a difficult part of the anatomy of a horse to draw? Is it just this the minor detail of like what makes a horse look like a horse, or because I'm trying to visualize it in my head? Like I'm not saying I can draw a horse at any great lengths, but I know a basics of a horse, if that makes sense.
For me, the hardest part to ever master on drawing a horse was actually the muzzle, because it's really easy to make it to look too long or too short, and just the bone structure is very different from other creatures that you're used to. So for me, that was always the most difficult part.
Would you say that just in general, or just you specifically?
I mean, just horses in general are difficult to draw for a lot of people. So for me, it was the muzzles, but just horses in general are difficult for a lot of people to draw.
I kind of want to like pull up like I want to start sketching a horse if we're doing this right now and be like, look, I can do this, but I know it's gonna look like a basic stick figure drawing, and people are gonna be like, listen, that's not a horse.
Play the derpy
uh,
Jurassic Park music in the background. Yeah.
there you go. So you got drawing at a young age. Do you go to school for drawing or art or any type of degree in art?
So when I was in high school, I actually did art AP classes. And that's really when I got like very heavily involved in doing art and actually like branching out with doing different art forms. And I live in a city specifically that's like well known for like their art community and stuff. So my teachers were all, completely insane artists, like typical art teacher, but times 10, just like completely out of their minds. But they were hilarious to actually have as teachers, and I got along with them really well. So I learned a lot from them, and when want to say it was like ninth or 10th grade, I realized I was really bad at math and I had wanted to be a veterinarian for a really long time. Like that had been my goal as a kid was to grow up and be a veterinarian. But I was like, wait a second, I'm really bad at math. I probably won't be able to pull this off. So I was like, okay, well, I'll become an animator because I really like drawing and I'm really good at it. So really started getting involved in like digital art at that point in time and just really branching out and expanding just my entire niche for art. But then when I graduated high school, I actually got a certificate in graphic design. So, and that was about a year schooling that I did. But that's just my background that I have in that, nothing more.
Interesting. And maybe this is a dumb question, but what specifically with math does tech, veterinarians have to do with like a lot of math?
I mean, it's just most of the chemistry and everything that you deal with at a higher level requires quite a bit of math.
Really? I
Yeah.
did not know that.
Yeah.
I, I figured, when you're talking about math, I was thinking like, how much milligrams has to probably go in their medication, but I would assume you would have to do that with any doctor or human too. So it's like, other than that, I didn't think math wise you would have that much to do, but I guess that makes sense, kind
Yeah,
of.
there's a fair bit of math involved. And I mean, I think it's just more than anything to open up higher like biology and chemistry classes. So they want to make sure that you can do the formula right on paper, like you memorize the formulas and how to do them. Because those are what you usually need in chemistry and such. So you have to have that math portion before you can really move on. And I just did not cut it at all.
Then that's rough. But you found an alternative. It looks like you're doing well and you enjoy art, so it's not like terrible. It's not like I don't know what to do. At least you had like a backup plan. It sounds like
Sort of, yeah.
a little bit, a little bit. But moving forward into Twitch now, this is the big one. How did you find Twitch?
Uh, I mean, I found Twitch probably 6 or 7 years ago, and I know that that's because when I was playing WoW, I would hear about people who would stream. So I ended up joining Twitch and like wasn't super into watching other players play unless it was like, the top 10 rating guilds out in the world because they actually had like helpful information. Like you could see what mods and add-ons they were using, and just their rotation and such. So that's probably how I first heard about Twitch, but I actually ended up staying because of the art, um, not community, but art channel that is available. So
Yeah, good old Twitch has done a lot with the art community. They've moved it, and twisted it, and broke it down, and trickled it out to different spots now, and it's just they don't know what's going on there. No offense, Twitch, but
well, back in the day, it
do
was
you?
just art. There's just anything that
Yeah,
was classified as art could be in there. So
yeah, it was an art section, and that was it. And then you would be able to find anything you needed, kind of, through if you just had to weed through people. Now it's like you got to click this, and now you have to have a hashtag, and now you got to do this, and then add this, and then do a twirl, and then you have to have this in your hand while have this, on. And I'm just like, I don't understand. They made it more complicated than it needed to be, but I guess it's simpler now. People are doing great. Individual sections of art. I know a lot of people. The only reason I say this is because I know a lot of artists were upset when they started making modifications or changes, I guess, to the channel and how it's represented and how you get seen and recognized on the art page or art channels now. It's a hot mess, I hear.
I mean, there was I'm trying to remember like when the big hullabaloo happened is because they broke out cooking. I want to say streamers out of the art tab. Like you couldn't stream in the art channel anymore if you were like making food and stuff. And that was actually a pretty big part of the art channels at that point in time. So I know there was big hullabaloo about that when that happened. So I think that was one of the first branches that they branched off.
I believe it. I believe it. Do you remember the first person you followed on Twitch?
Oh, God, no. I honestly wouldn't be able to tell you, no.
You make me sad. You're supposed to say, you were the first.
I didn't know you.
What the heck? What? We raided together. You could have been like,
I
listen.
knew about Twitch before we raided together.
Oh, God. Fair enough. Okay, I'll give you that one. So you don't remember the first person you followed. So you say you generally follow now art people, and that's what you stuck around, continue to watch with Twitch.
Mostly, yeah. And then I also follow a lot of streamers now who play a lot of like the really simple, like happy go lucky type games on Switch and whatnot, like Animal Crossing and whatnot. So
Oh, good old Animal Crossing. Oh boy.
most of the streams that are in there, they're with really nice streamers and they're just very chill. I can't handle like streams where people are just like going ham and against the wall and hyper to like the nth degree. Those streams stress me out to no end. So
Makes sense. You just want to find a cozy stream, relax, hang out,
exactly.
watch. Makes sense. Makes sense. Now, how did that transition into you becoming a streamer?
Um, well, there is a artist that I follow on stream, and she's actually been the only streamer that I've followed and subscribed to very consistently over like the past 4 or 5 years. So because of her, I realized that I could probably do the same thing. I was like, I could probably do this, and never really got around to doing it until last year. But she's the one of the main reasons that I ended up streaming was because of her.
Do you want to drop her name, or you're just like, no, no?
It's Claire, so
Oh boy. Fair enough. Fair enough. Makes sense.
but yeah,
Well, I'm
she was
glad
like
she
the main
encouraged.
one.
Did she help you at all? Did you like reach out to her and like, hey, I'm gonna stream. Do you have any tips or tricks
Yeah.
that you could use? Did she help you out, or was she was like, no, this is my like space? Because artists can be like really like, hey, this is my territory. This is my painting. I gotta sell it. I gotta sell this type of art.
Well, the very first thing that I did when I was considering streaming is I asked her first, I was like, would you be upset if I started streaming? And she's like, dude, no, what? Why would I be upset? That makes no sense. So I was like, oh, okay, I got your approval, then I'm good.
What happens if she said no? Do you think you would never stream?
I probably would have been very torn up about it, yeah. And I can't say I would have.
Really?
Yeah.
So if she's like, no, that's like, I couldn't even believe you would think about that. Like,
I mean, it's the
you would have been like,
confidence thing. Like, if she wouldn't have been able to have like given me the confidence to be like, yeah, you could totally do that. I know you could like make it work. So for me, I would have viewed it as being like, no, you absolutely do not have the skills required to stream.
makes sense. Okay, that makes sense. So you generally do stream art on your channel, I should say.
Yeah, so far,
Is it
I think I've only done like 1 or 2 streams that are art at this point in time. So
is it specific art? Are we looking for paintings? Are you doing digital art? Is there something that you specify in that people that are looking for that could look for you, or you just do a variety of different art?
I consider myself a variety artist streamer. So anything that you can imagine that requires like being creative, I could probably do. So, like most of the stuff that I do right now are traditional paintings or digital paintings, but I'm also looking at considering like doing wood carving and working with resin and also, I'm probably going to start branching off into games somewhere in the near future. So, I mean, I just do a lot of different art. Been trying to do emotes and then starting stream screens, things like that. So,
There you go. Is there a specific art style that you'd like to do, or like wanted to focus on if you could?
I don't think I like have really carved out my niche or my art style enough to like decide on that yet. And I know that that sounds weird because a lot of people are like, they know definitively like the style and the direction that they want to go with their art, but I don't feel like I've ever been able to pin down my own art style or what I specifically want to do with my art. So I feel like I'm kind of just like this weird mod podge right now of different styles and what have you.
Hey, there's nothing wrong with dabbling in everything until you find your go-to,
The way that I
your
describe it is
specialization or whatever.
I'm a uh, jack of all trades but master of none. So I do a lot of different things that you can think of. And like, if you can think of any art type that's out there, I've probably messed around it in some form or function and somehow. So, um, it's just, there's too much to do and I love doing art too much. So I can never just sit down and pick one specific thing to do.
Well, the wood carving sounds interesting. That would be something that I don't think I'm sure there's streamers out there, but I can't think of one streamer that I can think of off the top of my head that like, oh, that's a woodcarver streamer. He's done that or she's done that. That would really go above and beyond. I know they're out there, but
Well,
I
there's
can't tell you what.
the Twitch channel category now that is called Makers and Crafters or something like that. And they're like a very small like niche community off of the art community, the IRL streams. And there are some woodcrafters that are in there, but that's also where you'll find some really interesting different artists too. Like there's a bunch of knitters and crocheters in that group, a lot of cosplayers. So they're out there. I'm sure they're out there. I haven't run into anyone specifically that's a streamer that just does wood carving, but I would be surprised if there isn't one out there.
That makes sense. I'm sure there. If you were looking through the 20,000 categories, I'm sure there's one somewhere around there. When you mentioned the category, I just wanted to facepalm and be like, "Oh, another broken off category of
Exactly.
separating the art community."
Well, and that was another big
Oh,
time that, there was a weird splinter between Twitch and the art community was because they started taking people who were making cosplay gear out of the art channel. So that was a big deal when that happened.
I see what you did there, Splinter, woodcrafting. Big divide. Oh goodness. Oh man. Going off that though, do you have a theme? I know we've talked about this personally off stream, but have you considered a focalized theme that people can come to and be like, "Hey, this is Hughes of Hunter. Yes, you're an artist, but when you go to the chat, you got your animals, which we'll talk about here in a second, but a theme that really just represents you."
Uh, Probably more than anything, I would say it's like witchcraft. Um,
Now, when you say, just to bounce off that, not to cut you off, when you say witchcraft, people are probably like, "Oh boy, this crazy witchcraft. What is she talking about?"
exactly.
You want to delve more into what you mean by witchcraft?
Um, I guess more than anything, it's just like spirituality that isn't like your typical Judeo-Christian type motifs and themes. Um, so just things that deal with like, old gods and deities that people would have, as well as like just being more in touch with nature and of that sort, and just kind of creepy, spooky stuff.
Interesting, interesting. It's not like when people think of witchcraft, the cauldron and the smoke and the curses and the uh, I guess Halloweeny kind of thing. There's a separation there, kind of.
I mean, I do that too, so
You're doing great.
as
See
you
that?
know, so you saw my
Yes, you
Halloween
did.
stream.
Yes, you did do tarot card readings. Do you plan on doing that stuff like more in the future, like tarot card readings or horoscope readings or stuff like down that scope of things?
Yeah, I would actually like to start doing tarot card readings, and that's yet another weird category that Twitch introduced was tarot. So there is actually a little small tarot reading community on Twitch itself. But I think it would be fun to get into it and do that some more.
That'd be interesting. Do you think it's? Do you think how strong in the cards are there since they're? Because a lot of people say you have to touch the cards, they have to be there, get their energy, their focus on the cards. but it seems like it's a growing thing. Well, not a growing thing, but like you said, a small community that people get their whatever readings done on stream, and it seems to work or have some kind of connection with their viewer.
Yeah, I mean, so I've been a practicing witch, right, since I was like in my late teens. But I've been doing reading tarot and cards since a couple years out of getting out of high school. So for me, because I've been doing it for so long, I feel like I can kind of intuitively read into what the cards are saying. It is very much helpful to have whoever you're reading for in person there with you. But I feel too like with the digital aspect, because someone is actually coming to you specifically to have a reading, that energy and that intent is already there anyways, so it kind of like traverses the boundaries of space and time.
Makes sense.
So
I'm sure. I'm sure one way or another you can feel or sense the energy, and then I'm sure the viewer can also know if that reading's hitting the mark, or I'm
completely
sure
off.
there's direction. Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
sure they can lead you in a direction if it's not hitting the mark, reshuffle or whatever you need to do to re-energize. I guess is the word.
Yeah, so I mean,
Refocus.
people have kind of this weird concept of tarot if they haven't dealt with it before, and it's not supposed to be like very cut and dry. Like a lot of people think it is like, you draw the death card and it's like, oh no, there's going to be death happening in your life, and it's not like that at all. It's very, very situational specific, um, which, you know, I think a lot of people would kind of just roll their eyes at that point in time. But if you are looking for a specific answer for a question that you have, you will get it from having your cards read. But in that same vein, like you're what the interpreter of whoever's reading your cards for you is doing is basically saying, like, being vague to the point of like kind of edging on what the question being asked is. And you could be totally wrong with that because the cards can point you in a completely different direction that you're not supposed to go. So, I mean, for me, like in that regard, because I'm also very scientifically minded, so there's this weird conflict that I have where it's like, okay, yes, to me that these cards can be very accurate, but at the same time, scientifically speaking, when you're looking at these cards, it's like, okay, but a broken clock is right two times out of the day. So there is like this weird kind of gray area between those two that you actually have to like mesh together and be like, okay, well, yeah, that could be like, referring to this, or it could be completely off just because, there's only so much in life that you can be like draw from that you specifically want answers from a specific question for.
So it's not so much literal; it's more. Um, what was the word? You just were using the word interpretation. Up
Yeah.
to for interpretation.
Yeah. And I think that's the way it is for a lot of like this more new age esoteric type thing that goes on out there. It's like also for like reading horoscopes and just anything that's kind of fringe is like, yeah, there is probably some basis to it. And sometimes it can be eerily creepy how on point it is. But at the same time, it's just like, you can interpret anything any which way you want. Like the way I imagine like a snake is going to be completely different from the way that you would have like opinion of a snake just because of your own life experiences that you have with it. So it's it's I don't know how else I would describe it other than you kind of just roll with it, and you kind of have to, put your sense of disbelief and logic on the back burner to some extent while you're doing this type of thing. But I think that's for like any religion out there, right? Like you go to like Catholics will go to church and they'll pray the rosary, and it's like in some way that you touching these beads isn't going to like, completely fix everything in your life, but at the same time you have to suspend that kind of layer of living in this, plane of existence in order to fulfill that spiritual need that I feel like we all have in some way.
Makes sense. Makes sense. Snakes, by the way, no go for me. You know, you can keep
See, and
those
I
at your.
love snakes, so that's what I'm saying. Like, completely different interpretations of something regarding snakes were to pull up in an oracle deck for me would be completely wrong for you. But, like, you know, at the same time, there's also, like, the, general theme that these things have in life, right? So you can think of,
Yeah,
like, being poisoned with snakes. Like, we all understand that that's the thing that's there, but
that's very true. Venomous, non-venomous. Family member could be a snake. Somebody in
exactly.
your life could be a snake. Yeah,
Yep.
a lot of different meanings, a lot of different interpretations.
And I know that
Going
there
off
are
of. Oh,
people who
go ahead.
I know there are people who get tarot readings like near daily because they believe so strongly and so heavily in the reading. So like it can be a very personal thing for people. But at the same time, I think most of people, at least within like our age, who are like millennials or Gen X, is like sorry, Gen Z, are we just are like a little bit too solid to the earth to be like, oh yeah, this is 100% accurate all the time. I think a lot of us are just like, is it though?
Makes sense. It sounds expensive doing it every day. I don't know about that. Like only if you personally can do it, then
Well, if you have
maybe that's
anybody
something.
who is subscribed to you that wants to get it done daily, let me know.
Oh, there you go. Every day you can go in there. I need a tarot card reading now.
What do
We
I
need to
eat
get
for
this done.
lunch?
Oh God, that would be really bad. Be like, what do I do? What do I do today? Please read my cards.
And there are
Okay,
people
I'll
out
be
there that are
back.
like that. I mean, you remember like back in the 90s and the early 2000s with like those stupid like 12 a.m. infomercials with like Miss Cleo. She's gonna, you know, divine what you are thinking in your life and figure out all of your problems with your marriage and your love life and your finances and whatnot. So like they've been around for a
Didn't she
while.
get didn't she get in trouble
Yeah,
talking
she
about
got
Miss
like
Cleo? Or
hardcore sued if I recall correctly for like being a
not
complete
good.
fraud.
Yeah, see, probably not the best example. Probably don't take it so literal, like we said, just figuratively, up to interpretation, like we were saying.
Yeah, but I mean, again, you have Miss Cleo there with that regard where people are like sending her money all the time because they think she's going to fix their problems. But then you have the opposite side of the spectrum where you have like those like churches where people like the pastors and the priests and everything will be like, if I touch you, I'm going to make sure that you don't have cancer anymore. And, the light of God will heal you. You just have to send me $25 plus shipping and handling. So
Oh
it happens
no.
everywhere. Just
This this is true. This is true. I'm gonna divert from the religion thing. People
they're
very
like, this is
touchy
not
subject.
about streaming at all.
Just gonna divert now. Swooping back around to things that you mentioned: snakes, not specifically snakes, but pets. We did mention here and there. I know you have a few pets, dogs, lizards, and we also can see them on stream. Is that correct?
Yeah, I mean, some of them. So I have two dogs, a cat, a leopard gecko, and I think we have 8 chickens now. I think it's 8. We got some and then we lost some, so I'm not definitive on the exact amount right now. But I have a miniature dachshund. He's 13 years old, and there's actually with my channel points you can redeem them to have me grab him and have him up on stream for a bit, as well as with my leopard gecko who will kind of just chill and hang out. So you can see some of them. My cat a little bit less so. I think I've only been able to show her on stream like twice. She's a little bit of a scaredy cat, so.
We're gonna have to start summoning the chickens. It's gonna be like, bring in the chicken, bring in another chicken, start bringing the chickens. And you just see a bunch of chickens flying around in the background. You'll be like,
Back
all
feathers
right.
everywhere. Yeah, be like a
Fair.
Looney Tunes type status stream.
Is there a pet or lizard or something that's specific you want that you have not gotten yet?
Oh god, there's so many. Right
There's so
now,
many.
there really is. I love animals and I love taking care of animals. I think right now the main thing that I'm looking at, I probably won't be able to ever afford it, but I really find the aspect of having sugar gliders really appealing just because they are so bonded to you and they like need like constant like attachment to like their human, right? So like I could actually be on stream and have like, a little sugar glider hanging out on my shoulder and just chilling. I think that would be really cool to have.
I feel like that would be like it would be cool, and then a couple days into stream, you'd be like, "Oh my god, these things just don't stop bugging me." You're trying to paint or something, it's flying all over your hand while you're painting or something.
Well, no, they're pretty good. They usually just like chill with you. Like they're really docile creatures. So I would not mind
Why?
that.
Why are they just expensive to buy, or are they
Yeah,
expensive just for the upkeep?
both. But I mean, the original cost to get one, I think, is like bare minimum $800 for one, and you have to get a couple. Like you have to have at least two
Oh,
living
jeez.
together at once. So,
Oh, jeez. Oh, wow.
so
That's crazy.
that will probably never happen, even though I love the concept of that.
You do. It makes sense. It makes sense. But moving forward now, down the line, I know this is a hypothetical question, really, to think about, but down the line, 5 years from now, where do you see yourself on Twitch?
Uh, 5 years? I can't even see in the like
5 years.
next week, my man. um, I mean, I would still like to be streaming, I think. I have other stuff going in my life too, though. Like, I would also like to go back to school and actually finish my degree. So, I mean, on the one hand, like, yes, I would very much like to be streaming, but at this other side is like, yeah, I want to get my degree at the same time. So, if I can make both happen at once, that would be really, really cool. Um, but I mean, 5 years on Twitch, I would still very much like to be streaming, and I would like to be a little bit more like financially stable enough in order to stream. So like, have enough of like a base where I could like, sell things like enamel pins and stickers and actually do commissions and that type of thing, while at the same time going to school. But
So, two questions off that. The first question is, as of right now, do you do commissions? Do you sell your art? Do you do things with your art? Or is that just kind of more of a fun, you just make art to be on stream and just hang out and stream?
I mean, I'm trying to make it currently more viable of an aspect to like help me out financially. So yes, I am taking commissions and I am selling art that I've already made. Um, but it's a very steep uphill battle when you first start.
Yes, it does take a while. You got to get your name out there, your artist out there. Networking is very pain. And then the second question that stems off that, which is the big hot debate as of lately, Twitch is like, oh, we're gonna go down the rabbit hole here, but Twitch, YouTube, do we see you changing platforms? Do you consider yourself going to YouTube now? This big debate with all the stuff that's going on with Twitch. YouTube's now in the up and coming, great popular, I put those in quotes, the great popular place to be.
Well, I kind of feel like everything right now on the internet is just kind of up in the air with like every social media site out there, but specifically with streaming, like I think at some point I am probably going to have to transfer over to YouTube, but it takes a lot more to actually build up on YouTube, as you know. So I just actually have to like get into the practice of starting to build up my YouTube channel before I can like fully transition over there. But right now I
Makes
really love
sense.
Twitch and I love the people that come into my stream and like I've met some really cool and fascinating and interesting people. So I am okay with Twitch right now. We shall see how that holds in the future, though. If all of the big name streamers end up leaving because of the 70-30 cut going down to 50-50 for the partners, I might have to just, bite the bullet and grin and go over to YouTube and just try really hard to build up there.
Well, you might be the next big thing though on Twitch. The viewers might not have anywhere to go. They might not want to transition over, and you might be able to catch all the viewers that don't know have a new no home now.
Oh yeah, I mean, and like I was saying earlier tonight on stream, my I feel like my streams have become this weird place for misfits. So, would not be surprised if some of the people that who do end up hanging on to Twitch that don't want to leave end up coming over in some regard to me, right? But it's the whole aspect of having to find those streams now that's really difficult. So, finding small streamers
Yeah.
can be rough.
Yeah, it is very difficult. The pool is very large, so you really gotta either you get lucky and go viral for something, or you're just grinding it so long that you're just the traction gains and you just grow and grow and grow.
Well, I did go viral on TikTok, and that ended up being a nightmare. So I'm not sure I'd want to say the same for Twitch or YouTube. I'm okay with the slow build up.
Going viral on TikTok. So how was that a bad thing? A lot of people are like, "Oh, you're viral now. You're internet famous." In a sense, right?
Yeah, but I mean, so when I went viral on TikTok, it was like wasn't anything related to streaming or doing art. So it like ended up being like this complete thing that I never really ever talk about anyways. So I got all of these people who started following me on TikTok because of that one thing, and I'm like, but I'm not gonna talk about that one thing anymore. I'm gonna go to art and deal
Yeah.
with streaming. So it was not for the situation that most people usually end up going viral for, but also just like, I mean, the weird comments and the things that people say to you is just it can be really weird. Like I don't know how like all of the higher end like top 5% of streamers out there and like influencers and whatnot, content creators deal with it and manage it because it seems like it would just be chaos 24/7 in your life. Like there's definitely a reason why people who have made their careers out of being on the internet have such high rates of depression and whatnot. And I very much feel like that's probably why. You're just
Yeah,
very much on blast 24/7 from people. So,
mental illness is a big thing on Twitch, and especially grinding out so many hours and being on the computer, and then like you said, people that obsessed over you or other people in your life, and you know security reasons, or you're going out in public, and I'm sure it's a pain, very very big thing to think about.
yeah, yeah, no. So I would not want that lifestyle, I don't think. If I could just be
Oh,
comfortable, I would be happy.
there you go. Well, you're eventually going to have to grow. I think if you're getting to that point of comfortability, you're growing, which means you're going to get. I would assume you'd get to that point eventually, right?
Hopefully. And I mean, it does seem like so long as you stick to it, you're gonna get there eventually. So I mean, there are people, streamers that I've been watching for like the past 5 years who only just within like the past 2 months made partnership, and they've been grinding at it that whole time. So it just takes a lot of time. It's a lot of effort.
Yeah.
But I'd much rather that slow build up than something going viral and then being known immediately, everything about you overnight.
Oh, you never know. You might end up on the news tomorrow and be like, listen, the Twitch streamer HuesOfHunter is viral. Another post on TikTok.
Nope.
And then there you go.
Mm-mm.
Maybe your art would end up on the news, though. Wouldn't that be kind of
That
like
would be
trippy? That
helpful.
would be like, she'd be like, here's what she's been painting today. And you're like, holy cow.
Yeah, that would be helpful, but I'm not putting my cards into that deck quite yet.
That'd be a lot to take in. That'd definitely be a lot. I think it's just like you said, it's not a gradual change. It's like a rapid, like one day it's this and the next day it's like, hello, hey, okay, what's going on, everybody? Oh, wow, thousands cheering and screaming, and it
Yeah.
could be a lot. It could be a lot.
Yeah, well, and then we wonder why like all of these famous content creators end up like having all of these huge scandals that come out about them like years after the fact, right? And it's like it's because they didn't know. They didn't realize that they were going to become this famous, and like the scandals that have come out are pretty bad. So it's like I don't think I would fall into that category, but you never know. Everybody's got skeletons in their closets.
This is true.
And
This is very
anything is a
true.
cancelable offense at the present point in time. So
Yes.
like, people perceive one
Well,
bad thing you did 10 years ago and you're screwed.
Twitter's dying, so there's no more canceling. Twitter's dead. You can't cancel me now. It's fine. We're good. We're
I
safe.
mean, YouTube's been canceling
Easy.
people for a real long time though.
Can't escape it. If they find a reason, they'll go after you.
Yeah, it's
I'm gonna
inevitable.
hound you
So,
for it. Oh goodness. Well, you did it, Hunter. You made it through the end of the interview. Now this is the fun part. A little bit. We go through a little brain teasers, this or that, rapid fire questions. You just pick one you prefer, and then the end, we'll let you say your thank yous. I'll say my thank yous, and you've made it to the end.
all right, sounds good.
How's You feeling great so far? You did great. You don't feel you're not sweating. You're not stressing out too much. Not too much information. Hopefully, is out there now for the world to know. They'll be using this video to cancel you. You'll be like, listen, she's talked about the rosary, Christianity.
She's a
witch.
Burn her.
Oh goodness. Anyways, here we go. Rapid fire questions. These are somewhat fast, but then I end up getting sidetracked because I'm like, really? But anyway, here we go. Hamburger or hot dogs?
Hamburgers.
Ice cream or cake?
Ice cream.
What's your favorite ice cream?
I really like Half Baked by Ben and Jerry's.
Pizza or Chinese food?
Pizza.
Pirates or ninjas?
Pirates.
Early bird or night owl?
I mean, I guess that depends on, like, are you asking if I'm one of those, or like
You like what do you prefer? Well, you prefer, or are you one of these? I guess.
night owl.
World of Warcraft or RuneScape? I know there's one.
RuneScape, clearly. No, it's World of Warcraft.
Anime or cartoons?
Cartoons.
No internet or no cell phone?
No internet.
Whoa.
But I'm being sneaky with that
interesting.
because you can get internet on your cell phone.
Oh, I guess because of the bar. Okay, fair enough. Harry Potter or Lord of the Rings?
Oh, that's a tough one. Oh, that's really tough. Right now, I'm actually rereading The Fellowship of the Ring, so I'm probably gonna have to go with Harry Potter.
Oh, what the heck? You did what? And you're like, I'm rereading this, so I'm going with Harry Potter. I'm like, what the heck? Poor Lord of the Rings. They usually lose out.
Well,
It's
I
fine.
have a Harry Potter tattoo, so I don't have a Lord of the Rings tattoo.
Well, that's the next tattoo idea. You need to get like something Lord of the Rings related. Get the ring like tattooed on you somewhere. You're like, no.
Well, what was it? The like the original 7 that were part of the trilogy. They got like something in Elvish tattooed on them. When they were filming in New Zealand, I can't remember what the tattoo was, but it was something in Elvish. I'm pretty sure that would kind of be a cool one to get.
Yeah, but then you're not the original 7 though. You're
Doesn't
kind of
matter.
taking
It's
away.
an homage to the original 7.
Fair enough. This is more what you call it: soda or pop.
Soda.
Man, where's the pop lovers around here? Star Wars or Star Trek?
That's another difficult one. And I mean, I'm painting Princess Leia right now, so that doesn't. I'm probably gonna have to go with Star Wars.
I was gonna say, if you do the 180 again, you're like, I'm gonna go with Star Trek.
Well,
I'd be
okay,
like, what the
listen,
heck?
I was into Star Trek long before I was into Star Wars, so I'm like a Trekkie at heart, but I'm more involved as an adult with Star Wars.
Who's your favorite Star Wars character?
Asuka. Ahsoka.
Really? That seems like a very popular answer nowadays. Like, people didn't know who she was, and now she's like everywhere.
Well, I mean,
feels
if you'd
like.
been watching Clone Wars from the beginning, you would have known
Oh
who
my
she is.
goodness! Here you go. Yeah. Pokemon or Digimon?
Pokemon.
iPhone or Android?
iPhone.
Oh God, we got an iPhone user, guys. Oy, oy, oy. All right, you made it through the rapid fire questions. Hopefully, they weren't too difficult. It didn't seem like you were having trouble with most of them there. Very interesting one with the cartoons. A lot of people will go with anime because I guess right now there's no real traditional cartoons anymore. Really, if you think about it.
Yeah, but I was thinking about like just how we grew up, and like for me, cartoons were a bigger thing than anime is. So I think it's just because of the way that I grew up.
For the anime fans, I do have to ask this. What is your favorite anime? If you can't pick a favorite, your top 3 or top 5, I guess.
Top favorite of all time is Neon Genesis Evangelion.
I have no idea what that is. So hopefully anime fans out there, you're either really proud of her or you're like, what the hell? Terrible anime.
They were like
So
the
there you
first
go.
like original mechas.
So kind of like a like Megatron, kind of like Transformers, no?
To an extent, yeah, sort of.
when you say mechas, I'm thinking like robots. Like
So, oh
no.
God, have you seen Pacific Rim and
Yes.
how they?
That's like Transformers.
Yeah, so like they're controlling these giant like robots, right? So that's exactly what the premise of NGA is. But you it's a little bit different. So they're technically mechas, but they're like controlled by you, so are like the true mechas, right? Whereas like Transformers, they're just mechas. There's nobody controlling them.
Fair. That's fair. That's fair. That's fair. All right, now I'm going to give you this time here to say your thank yous. You can shout out anything you want. Once again, just to let everybody know, all of her links and everything will be down below, her Twitter, or Facebook, Twitch, or any links that Hunter gives me on the once this interview is done will be down below, and you can follow her there on her socials. But this is your time, Hunter, to say your thank yous and everything that you want to shout out right now.
I guess thank you to you. Thank you to everybody that comes into my stream and says hi and stops for a chat. It's been really, really cool experience. So, um, don't forget to tip your servers. That's about it.
I did not expect that. I did not expect that. So, fair enough. Fair enough. You know, tipping is bad overseas. It's just an American thing.
Yep, yep.
And you get a lot of EU people watching you now. They're going to be like, "What are you doing? No tipping."
Well, and like most of the people that come into my stream right now are like Europeans, so you know
They're going to be
they're
like, "That is." Yeah, they're shaking their head. They're like, the disrespect of her. Ay, ay, ay. But once again, I don't do this for clout or glory. I don't get this famous. This is all on you. Without you, this thing would never be a series, a thing. And so without you guys, or specifically you right now, Hunter, doing this episode with me with Chalk Talk, so I do appreciate it. I never expect a shout out. I don't expect anything in return. So I do appreciate the shout out that you gave me there at the end. Once again, thank you for joining me for a Chalk Talk with Tony. And I appreciate you, and I will see you on your next stream.
all right. Sounds good. Thanks for having me.
All right, guys. Until next time. Bye, guys.
Bye.